Hello and welcome to YouTube Live. Coming up in today's show, we have an expert in the studio to talk about Formula 1. But first, a chance to win £90,000 and the BMW X5 Sport. So stay tuned to answer the question at the end of the show. Firstly, welcome to the show, Izzy.
Thank you
for joining us. So let's talk about Formula 1. Could you give us a brief explanation about what F1 is for anyone who doesn't exactly know how the sports work?
So Formula 1 is a form of motorsport where there are 10 teams, 20 drivers, 20 cars, and they travel all around the world. So they go to America, they go to Europe, they go to Asia, they go to Australia, and they race in different tracks. It's really exciting, loads of overtaking, and they compete for a championship. There's a team championship and a driver championship, and it's really exciting. You get to see loads of different countries and loads of different tracks, and it's really, really exciting to watch. And
thank you very much for that. So let's take a look at the clip from the 29th of November of one of the worst crashes of 2020. Everyone did escape with, luckily, only minor burns to the hands. Let's take a look. So, could you tell us how this crash may have been caused and how the explosion occurred with all the safety measures in a modern F1 car may have helped?
So the crash was caused when Romain Grosjean drove in front of Daniel Kvyat and his right rear tyre clipped on Kvyat's front wing, and it basically just sent Romain Grosjean straight into a barrier. And the actual explosion itself happened when the fuel tank in the back of the car, due to momentum, was ripped off basically, and obviously fuel, metal, heat, it exploded, and the remaining fuel that was in the front of the car that went as well, and Grosjean was sent through the middle of the barrier, and it all just caught to flames. But he survived due to, as you said, the safety measures in a modern F1 car. The most recent one is the halo, which is the little ring around his head, and it was the thing that saved his life, because it acted as a snowplow. As he went through the middle of the barrier, it created a little opening for him, so he didn't hit his head, and it meant that he could climb out, and all the safety marshals with fire extinguishers that were luckily at the scene were very quick to go and aid him and get him out of the car.
How often are crashes in F1?
So crashes in F1 are very common, because drivers they'll come together, their tyres will touch, they'll have punctures, especially when it's raining as well. They can spin off and hit a wall. But obviously, as you said, safety measures, that protects them from being too serious. Crashes like we've just seen are very, very rare, especially in 2020. And ones with explosions haven't happened really since the 70s or the 80s. So big crashes like we've just seen are very, very rare.
Well, how common are red flags in F1?
So red flags, so big crashes do happen. So they are good. They're not very common though. Before 2020, there hadn't been a red flag in a race in F1 for about 3 years or so. So how many that there were this year? It was a big shock to many fans, but a red flag in this case was very necessary.
Well, did the race restart after this crash?
It did. They had to rebuild the barrier, which took them about 45 minutes, and they built it with concrete, so no driver went through the barrier again. And it was a safe restart. There was a little incident at the start, but it was all fine, and it was a safe race from there onwards. A good end to the race.
Well, what about the driver in this case? I mean, he must have been, extremely scared for his life. How is he doing?
So he ended up retiring from Formula 1 after this, but he's now racing in IndyCar in America. But a team called Mercedes wants to give him a better experience as his final time in an F1 car. So they gave him a test run in the Mercedes car, which was really, really exciting for him. So
that sounds like it must have been extremely emotional for him. And the fact that he made it out alive is just amazing. And we are also grateful for him, and glad that he only made it out with only minor injuries.
Definitely.
Right, quiz time now. For your chance to win £90,000 and a BMW X5 Sport, all you need to do is answer this question. What sport were we talked about in today's show? Was it A, football, B, Formula 1 or C, basketball? Here's how you can enter. Call 0700 40 40 40, calls cost £2 plus any network rate charges, or email youtubelive@gmail.com. All entries must be 18 or over. Lines close at 3 p.m. on Friday the 14th of May. Any entries after the deadline will not be entered, but you still may be charged. Winners can be found out on the official YouTube Live website. That's all for today. Thank you for joining us. Goodbye.